Hello everyone, I'm Danielle from Cages Readings, so welcome to the channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. I was having a hard time deciding between doing a past life reading today or doing Why Don't You Fit In reading, and I have obviously chosen to do the second. But I kept wanting to keep the crystals I originally chose for the past life reading, so I'm not really sure how this is going to play into the energy today. Maybe one of the piles will clear this all up, but yeah, I just thought I would mention that. So just a breakdown of the reading. We are first going to be looking at your energy, and we're going to use some archetype cards just to kind of get a quicker feel for it. And then I'm also going to look at your values and your morals, sort of what is important to you, because I think that will bring a lot of clarity on why you might not be fitting in with this other group. So my intention was that it would maybe be coworkers or social group, or maybe you're in university or something like that, or in a class and you're just not really connecting with people. It could also just be your family members. So I just thought if we could really look at who you were as a person and your morals and values, and then we could take a look at their group dynamics and their morals and sort of the archetypes that they're playing out, it would really give you a third perspective or a clearer perspective about why those two aren't working well together, for lack of better words. And then after that, we are going to look at some guidance and encouragement from you, from your guides, because I feel like that will be really important. Oh no. Hey. Okay, I'm sorry. I just made some pumpkin bread and it was a little too hot to put away. And so I thought if I put it where I can see it, my cats probably won't try to eat it. And actually they didn't go for it until I moved it, so that was my mistake. I feel like on this channel I could almost have like just probably, I don't know, maybe an hour of bloopers at this point of every time my cats interrupted a card reading. All right, but anyways, I was really only planning to look for those 4 things: your energy, your values, their energy, their values, and then guidance for you. And I kind of feel like that will take up a good amount of time. So yeah, let's just get into it. We have 3 piles to choose from here. Hello everyone. I am recording this so that before you choose a pile, you can get a quick chakra attunement and alignment. It is going just to be about 1 or 2 minutes long, really just quick, just to get you more balanced. I wanted to offer this because I know sometimes people have a hard time grounding themselves or feeling connected to their intuition, and that's usually why they're seeking out a card reading. So this was my solution. I hope you enjoy. right, so we have 3 piles to choose from. Pile 1 is called Mecca. And it says, I radiate my peace outwards. I have faith. I am devoted. I understand that forgiveness frees me. Pile 2, it says Delphi. I receive divine messages constantly and clearly. I look for the truth in any situation. I know myself. Power comes from the inside out. And then lastly, pile 3 says Ajanta Caves, I think. Ajanta, I don't know. Enlightenment is a journey. I show compassion to myself and all living beings. I can be centered within chaos. All my past lives have brought me to this perfect moment of realization and wisdom. Okay, that's funny. That says all your past lives here. So maybe that's where it's getting the past lives vibe. All right, so I'll give you a moment now to ground yourself and choose your pile. Hello, pile 1. So you chose the Mecca card. And I pre-pulled your archetype cards and your values, and then I'm gonna pull this other group that you're not feeling like you fit in with, just because I didn't want to mix up the cards. So here we go. For you, we have Rebel and Servant. And I know sometimes the titles can seem a little weird on the cards, so please just wait until we get into the energy, because I know sometimes they mean something totally different than what you might first think. Okay, so then for your morals and values, we have conscious steps, relaxation, Archangel Phanuel, Archangel Haniel. Lots of angels, so that's really interesting. Okay. Okay, I feel like this pile already is starting to come through pretty clearly about your energy. It is interesting because when I'm about to start a pick a card reading for YouTube, or this even does happen with clients, where I'll start like thinking thoughts and I'm like, oh, I wonder if it'll be about this. And then I always tell myself, don't get too attached to that, because I don't want my ego to change the message for whomever I am doing a reading for or channeling a message for. But I think in a lot of these cases, it's almost like the ideas start coming through once I've decided on the thing I'm gonna do or on the person I'm gonna read, and then it's just almost like it starts coming in already. And sorry if you hear a weird noise in the background, my cat's got a Christmas present of a metal ball with a mouse with a feather tail on the back that they really like, and it's really cute that they like it, but it's so noisy. So they're actually downstairs right now, but I can hear it pretty loudly, so I'm wondering if you're gonna be able to hear it very well. But it's just a cat playing with a toy. Okay, downstairs, which is funny. Okay, so anyways, back to you. You're what's important. This is what we're doing the reading for. So already right here, when I see I radiate peace outwardly, and when I was talking about, I was already starting to get a bit of a vibe for one of the piles today. I kept thinking that some of the problems that people are gonna feel like they don't fit in is if you are very heart energy centered and very open-hearted, and I think the people you're trying to fit in with, and so I haven't pulled the other cards yet, so I don't know for sure the group it's gonna be. Oh no, my cat brought that toy upstairs. Oh no. Wow, that must have been heavy. It's like a weighted metal ball. Like, it's really heavy. I'm kind of impressed. He carried it with his mouth up here. You know what? I wonder if that's even a bit of a message in itself. Is the cat that decided to drag this heavy toy all the way up here and carry it all the way up really likes being around myself and my partner. Doesn't really like being by himself. So it's almost like he'll struggle extra just to be near us. Okay, sorry, I just switched it out for a little spring, which is a lot quieter. It's crazy. Every time I do one of these card readings, I feel like the first pile, it is almost like painful to get it started because my cats start losing their mind as soon as I start doing these card readings. Okay, so without further ado, what I wanted to talk about was the heart energy. And yeah, and just how I haven't pulled the other group's cards, so I don't know for sure, but I'm getting the impression that your energy, your heart energy, is pretty open. And a lot of people, if they're more guarded, more armored, you could say, not as vulnerable, if they come across someone whose heart energy is so open, there can be problems with them. It's almost like, how would I put it? It's almost like if you were to look in the mirror and you see, like, so, okay, here's a better example. You know how there's some people out there who really hate beautiful people? They really hate them. I've met some of these people. I remember they'd just be mean to someone because they thought they were pretty and they had it too easy and stuff like that. That's almost how I feel it is. Like, this other group, the people in the group, they, like, in some ways are envious or jealous of your ability to be so open-hearted, your ability to not be scared, to be vulnerable. And maybe there is some fear, but you push through it. Unlike with them, I think they've kind of blocked it out. They're not comfortable being uncomfortable with trying to be vulnerable and open. So I hope that analogy is good. It's like, it's almost like you're mirroring to them something that they aren't able to do themselves. And it's almost like, although you're not doing this at all, to them it almost feels like too much, like it's in their face or like you're rubbing it in. And I really gotta say, that is not what you're doing, but that's just almost like the frequency or that they're perceiving it as. And it kind of makes sense. If someone has a closed off heart energy, it's almost like their compassion for others is turned way, way down, right? And I think that's almost what you're struggling with a little bit. It's almost like they're missing some of that compassion. And understanding is the other thing too, I want to say. I feel like you're just almost needing more compassion and understanding from these individuals from the other group. And I keep saying group because I feel like for this pile, it's almost like I would say, I think you keep finding people who are in a group mentality. So maybe you can get along with them individually from time to time, but when they're in a group, it feels like that's when it gets really hard. I almost wonder if it's like the other ones are trying to fit in, and it's almost like they know how to fit in the way that you don't know how to, or something like that. And I don't know, very strong group energy that you're kind of not vibing with. So then other things I want to just kind of talk a little deeper about. So the Rebel card, that's perfect for, I think, anyone who is getting into spiritual work, because you're almost going against the grain. And it's becoming more and more normal, which is great. But still, there's so many people who think, like, I don't know, like, for example, I've heard some people be like, making fun of someone and then saying like they probably even like meditate and stuff. And it's like, to me, I'm like, is that like is that supposed to be an insult? Like that person might meditate? Like, I don't know, but you can just tell like they were just trying so hard to fit in with the group. They were trying so hard to like just put down others because they're different in that way. And I don't know, it's super weird, but I don't know, I have seen it. In a lot of outdoors groups, unfortunately, there's a lot of very logical thinkers in outdoor sports, I've come to realize. So you can find that energy there a lot. So anyways, when I see the Rebel, and it says challenges authority to effect social change, rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. As soon as I see that, this just makes me think about, I keep thinking more specifically as coworkers and bosses that you might have. This is where you're going to have a lot of friction in some relationships, because if you see a system that doesn't make sense or doesn't seem fair, and I think to everyone, I don't think it's even just to you. I think if it doesn't seem fair to like some other coworkers you're with, to you, you're not just going to sit there and take it. It's almost like you go, clearly they must not realize that it's not fair, because why else would this system exist? Like, that's just how I see you. And because the second card you have here is delights in serving others with a free and loving heart. This is really what just really cemented to me that you're coming from heart energy. Your heart energy is very, very strong, or very open, however you want to look at it. I think in your case it is strong and open, and you seem to find yourself in places where the heart energy isn't open and it's very guarded, because they don't feel safe to open it up. So it's a tricky place for you to be, because you're in a place where you can influence a lot of people and create the most change just by literally being you. And as crazy as that might sound, it's like, even if you aren't successful at changing rules at work or at doing things at work, I almost even feel like you're that person that you say, hey, isn't it kind of funny that we do this, and then that this person doesn't get the same amount as somebody else? Like, it almost seems to me like they'd have way more work than that other person. And you kind of say it in a way that you're kind of like pointing it out, but you're kind of joking. I don't know. They're saying like just even moments like that, although in the moment you might not feel like you've made it through anything or made a difference or even got them to question why they did something that way. I almost feel like it's that Inception movie effect where they might give you right away the default answer, but you've created a little bit of doubt or a little bit of a question within themselves about, why do we do things that way? Why is that fair? Why do we just put up with it? Why? So it's funny, I don't think you always see that, but I think you do on a deeper level, whether these other people admit it or not, get them thinking differently. And if you find yourself in a job right now where you're like, I honestly don't know why I'm here, why am I working here? I sure don't align with most people. I wonder if this, even if you're, say, you're about to quit that job or something, I think even your time there's such a big importance on, you might not realize it, but I think you will create lots of change in the future. They're just moving slower. The doubt, it's almost like it's a small seed, like they say. You planted a small seed of doubt, and it just is going to take some time for it to grow. But I do think with time it will grow, and each individual differently that you come into contact with. So huge light worker vibes, huge strong heart energy, and really just wanting everyone to have everything fair and work out for the best for everyone. That's like it's not quite doing it justice, but that's the best way I can say it that I know how to. So then we look at your values down here. We have peaceful pursuits, happy times, hope, optimism, new beginnings, joys, blessings, intuitions, and we have looking forward and conscious actions. So that right there says so much. It just reevaluates everything that we were kind of just talking about you, about really just like conscious steps, conscious actions. That's huge. That really tells me, like, I think this is what's so hard for this pile, for you not fitting in with this group, is I guess I haven't said it. I feel like I've just known it since I've tuned into your energy, but I feel like you have tried so much to fit in, and in the sense of like to get along with and even have a reciprocating friendship. Because I wonder for you if there's some people that are part of this group that doesn't seem like you can fit into. You kind of like think they're nice. You think there's things you do appreciate about them, but it's almost like you just can't get that relationship to form. It's more like you are kind of just closed off at eventually some point. Like they just don't let you through after a certain point. And I almost feel like it's because these other people are in that group mentality where it's like the others don't quite accept you, so then they aren't going to accept you because then they might not be accepted any longer. But I think there are some people at work though that I do feel like there's some like good vibes between. But anyways, that's what I was saying with the conscious steps is I feel like you've just really tried and you've really been like, well, what can I do to make them feel more comfortable? What can I do to connect with them? And I think you're just very cautious of making sure that you're being accountable for your part in a relationship not working out, and like maybe saying things the wrong way. Like when I see the conscious steps, I actually almost feel like you're taking a lot of accountability for these dynamics, but I don't really think the other group is. But like I said, I haven't pulled any cards yet, so we will see. But I definitely get that this is kind of a relationship where you're doing more of the work. you're being very conscious. You're being very self-aware, and I think that's just who you are. I think that's just how you are in relationships. And it's not so much that you want to fix it. It's almost like because of your energy up here, this like very open heart energy, you just don't really understand why you can't all get along. Why can't you have different opinions about some things and still, like want the best for people, or just be able to ask how someone to stay is. There's something there where you're just like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. And then, the peaceful pursuits and happy times, hope, optimism, and new beginnings, and joy, blessings, and intuition. I feel like these ones all kind of say the same thing. Like, I think that's just, once again, kind of goes back to how you want to be. Like, you want things to be working out. You want good relationships. If there's a weird energy between someone, you want to figure out why that is, and then maybe you won't be best friends, but I feel like you're just like, well, we don't need to have that weird conflict between us. It just isn't serving anyone. Like, I feel like you're such a sweet-hearted person. That's the best way I can put it. Really, like, I don't know if you know this about yourself or if you feel like people always say this. Like, I feel like there's, like, that whole stereotype of, like, oh, they're a nice person. And sometimes being a nice person is being just, like, a pushover. But I don't see that for you. I really see it as... I actually think that's maybe where there's some frictions too, right? Like with the Rebel card, it tells me that like you are very kind and you are like very open-minded and you are trying to be accommodating. But if there's something that doesn't sit right with you, you don't just take it. You will stand up for yourself. You will stand up for others. So you don't have the pushoverness that like the nice people can have when people say you're so nice, where they're almost saying like, wow, you have no backbone. You don't have that. That is, you have boundaries. You have your understandings about your limits and what's not okay and how people shouldn't be treated. So actually looking at you as a card reader, I feel like you're a very healthy person in the sense that you've probably done a lot of work. Just even seeing this conscious steps card come through, I feel like it doesn't come without having been very accountable for your own healing and your own journey. So I'm sorry you're not finding a group that can honor that and appreciate the work you've done. And even like have that open, receptive relationship with you. And maybe you do in other places, but just not with this group. But yeah, I can just see how I'm going to biasly say, I feel like you are kind of the more conscious, self-aware, developed person in the relationship, and you're dealing with people who haven't learned how to be accountable for their own wounding. Like if we're going to see, but I'm almost getting the impression that you're kind of stuck with some people who are stuck in victim mentality or scarcity thinking. And it's almost like you're just kind of on the flip side of it. So you're kind of in exactly an opposite place as them, which makes it really hard for them. And I shouldn't say it is also hard for you, but it's really hard for them because they're not willing to see their own accountability in themselves. That it'd be really, really hard for them to look at you. And it's almost, I can just see it so well, but I can't quite describe it. It's almost like they get bitter towards you. Like that model idea or that beauty thing where you are what they want to be, but they haven't taken the action to get there, that they're like almost being mean towards you because you did it and they didn't. Like, does that make sense? Like, it's a very mature energy by any means. It's not very conscious. It's not it's not even intentional from their part, I should say. It feels very just childlike, and yeah, like they just haven't gone through those steps yet. So, you know what? Let's look at their energy now. Let's just double check, because maybe you're inquiring about a couple different groups, and I'm not even talking about the energy that you're inquiring about right now. Okay, so just gonna ask, what is the energy? Whoa. Well, that card went flying out. Of the group you're referring to. Okay. Boom. Okay. So, you know what? Let's just put your cards over here. And then I'll put these ones down here. And I also do want to pull some cards for their values. Okay, sorry, just moving them around so I can fit everything a bit better. Okay, so from my perspective of just looking at your energy and why it's being rejected from the group, I feel like it's because the group is in the shadow aspect of their archetypes, you could say. So that is why I'm going to read the shadow attributes, because of the energy I see coming from you. Okay, and then we kind of have their values over here. So it seems too stereotypical to be saying this, but yeah, I feel like the energy that you're not fitting in with, this is where I'm like gonna say, I would be proud not to be fitting into this, but it would be hard to be yourself in this situation and be that oddball out, be the one who didn't fit in. But to me, it just seems like I wouldn't want to be part of this. And it's so funny because I did work in the service industry for, I think, 8 years. Yeah, I think it was 8 years. And it's funny looking at this. It just feels like the same type of industry. But I feel like there's also some office workers, and not all, but kind of the more mainstream, kind of like climbing the social ladder, has also the same energy as like the server energy that I got. Well, I was in the service industry at least. And anyways, so first we have King. And as soon as I saw this card, my thought was, it says even here, entitlement, and almost believing that, how would I put it? Like, this is where I got the social ladder climbing kind of vibe. Like, feeling like your goal is to get on top because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to become CEO or the management company or whatever it is. And I just feel like it's not necessarily that, well, that's not true. For some people in the group, they really do think they deserve everything and they're the best. And for other people, they just feel like they have to do that because that's what you're supposed to do. And if they don't do that, what's the next step? What's their next thing they can grow on? So instead of looking at personal growth, they're looking just at career growth within a company that maybe doesn't even serve their values. But that's kind of how I see it. So it says excessive feelings of entitlement, rulership without restraint. So this is even when I see like your rebel energy coming in and really being combative to the King personality. And like I said, I see where your heart is. I see that your heart is really just wanting to see fairness for everyone. And I just can so see you not liking stupid rules. Rules that don't make sense. But the problem is people who are strong in this King energy, and I think unfortunately there's a lot of those in this group that you're referring to. I think it's coworkers, like that's the dominant energy I'm seeing. They see rebels as problems, right? Because if you think about a ruler who's in their shadow attributes and believes that they almost have a right to things, it's almost like it makes no logical sense. And you'll see that in the rules they make. But there's like this entitlement in the sense, I'm trying my best way to explain it. I've seen this. I'm sure we've all seen this, but how would I put it? It's almost like saying they should get paid less because they just should be grateful to work for me. Which doesn't really make sense. They should get paid less because they should just be so grateful to work for me. It makes me think of cheerleaders. I actually heard that cheerleaders make almost no money and they didn't even pay them minimum wage for the longest time. And the thing they said to it is you should be honored to be a cheerleader, and that's the trade-off. Like it's so unfair, but it's almost like if you complain about it, you don't get to be one. So what do you want? Do you want to be one and not get paid and get burnt out? Or do you want to complain about it and then never be able to do it because people won't let you into the cheerleading league because you've complained? That is actually a great analogy, I think, to this, like this person where it's such an obvious dumb rule, but in the king's mind, in this other group's mind, they can't see it because they just believe people will do it or should do it or should feel honored to have it. It's weird. It's so weird, but I see it all the time in weird places in our old societal structures. So I think the problem is there's some workplaces that do still strongly have this energy, and I think you're in it. One of those workplaces. And then Shapeshifter, which normally see this as a great card. I think the problem with this is I think this is talking about their lack of authenticity, which once again is sort of the opposite of what you are. You're very authentic, you really know who you are, and you really come from an honest, heart-centered place. You almost feel like you would have a hard time lying. If you even knew that if you could just tell the white lie, it would get you out of less trouble, I think you still probably wouldn't tell that lie. For this group, I can almost see this as, it's like funny, they're showing me examples from my own life where like someone would do the work and then the manager would take the praise for it. Like, oh yes, I had them do this, I had to do that. Like somehow manipulate it so that it became something that they did to get the positive reinforcement. Meanwhile, like all these other people did the work. I think that's kind of what I see for this. And I also just see, yeah, super people pleasing, but only to the boss, only to the people's faces, but then behind their backs, being very different. This is, I hate to say it, but in this case, it feels very two-faced, right? If you've heard that expression before, where people aren't being them true whole selves, they're just sort of saying one thing to get the results they want, and then turning around and saying the opposite to somebody else. It's a really gross feeling. So it says, protecting any image that serves your personal agenda in the moment. And that is what I get. I think this is huge group consciousness that you're coming from. And once again, I'm going to say, I think it's from work, because it's too many humans, I would think, to be anything else. Maybe a university if you're in university, but other than that, it's a lot of people thinking the same way for a family group or anything like that. And every example they give me a work example. So I keep thinking it has to be coworkers for this pile. Coworkers, bosses, management, and clients. Okay, and then the Alchemist, which always seems like amazing card about being able to transform any situation into gold, and motives are to gain wisdom. And then it's funny that it's like this card, I think though, says misuse of power and knowledge, which goes with the same kind of energy and personality type that we're really starting to see come through for this pile. Sorry, not for you, but for the group you're not fitting into. These two cards go so well together, where it really does make me think of sucking up to the right people. This is the most immature card reading thing I've ever done with my language. I'm saying a lot of not so mature words here, but anyways, I see this as so manipulative, kind of even like manipulating things in a not fair way. Like even that cheerleader thing where it's like, well, you better be grateful to work for us or you're never gonna work for another cheerleading company again. Like, I think it's just simple things like that. Like it's like a bully. It's being a bully because you want to get what you want and you don't care whose toes you step on. That is this group. And even here, this Don Julio card says in the use of romantic attraction for private agendas. I think this is kind of what made me think a lot about the restaurant industry, is there's so much sexual assault that goes on in restaurant, or at least franchise, I should say, franchise restaurants. And there's so much manipulation and threats so that people don't speak about it. And you keep thinking eventually this stuff must end, but then you come to see like other industries, other businesses where the same kind of things happen, where it's... My cats are being really noisy again. It seems to be the theme of this card reading. It's my noisy cats. Okay, yeah, so yeah, I'm not super sure what industry you're in. I keep getting, though, images around, so like restaurant industry, but also maybe more business, like actually works in office buildings where a lot of your like raises or the types of jobs you get are associated with who likes you and who will give you the preferred jobs or projects. And that's why I feel like, ugh, this is so gross. I feel like the boss behind this just does not align with this person. So once again, know how I said at the start, I'm not sure if you're quitting your job soon or if you've been thinking about it. I feel like I can really see, like, for this industry or this place you work at, for this to be such a strong group energy, it makes me think that whoever's behind this company or this corporation or franchise I think they are this, because I can't see this level of grossness, for lack of better words. Like I said, very immature language in this pick a card pile for me. Being okay unless they also had, like, they were living by example, and their example is almost creating people to think this is okay. I actually think that is it. I think they are the poor example, and then people see this is how this person was successful. They, like, their perspective is that that's what you have to do. That's what you have to be like to be successful. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like that energy. But that's old school mentality. As we've seen, there's a new wave of being that's coming through. And the fact that we can see this so clearly, just to help validate you that this isn't going to always be this way, is that the fact that we can see it as it is, to me, goes to prove that things are going to shift. Because I think we couldn't see this clearly before. And I think it's because we just didn't even have the awareness that this stuff wasn't okay. There almost wasn't enough light to make it clear that this was not nice. This wasn't good. I don't know. And when I see this though, like, I see the person on top, maybe just being a little, I don't know, for lack of better words, not such a great intentioned person, but I see everyone kind of below who's copying this. It's like almost, I don't know, I keep trying to say words that don't sound horrible, but it's almost like they didn't know how to do self-growth or self-work. And that's almost why they're here. If they knew the clarity they can find in knowing themselves and having a heart opening, not being afraid of their own inner child, then they wouldn't be so susceptible to copying this way of being. I hope that's making sense. It's almost like when people are hopeless, they'll look for a God or they'll look for a solution, and it could be alcohol, it could be drugs. And what I'm getting is, if they just empowered themselves to really hold space for themselves, and this feels like a huge inner child issue for this group. They're scared of being outcasted. They're scared of not fitting in. They're scared of being bullied, and they're almost taking it out. They're joining the bully instead of just dealing with the issue within themselves, like that fear that's coming up about not fitting in and all that. I hope this is making sense. I don't know. Hopefully it does. If not, I guess you probably stopped watching by now. So their values of this group, And when I say the group, I do think I am now kind of tuning a little bit more into whoever's kind of at the head of this, or whoever is kind of the leader at this. So abundance, yeah. So it's so funny. I don't think it's like happy abundance like that. I think they're hoping for this for themselves, but I don't think it goes further from the actual franchise. I don't think they're feeling like they're wanting abundance for, like, say, all the workers there and everyone in the whole industry. It seems more like they're like, I want to make more, and it's very focused on them. So here it says doubt, pessimism, mundane misfortune. Yeah, which is so interesting. Which actually is interesting because one of your cards said faith, optimism, and like moving forward. And I feel like you literally got the reverse of what they got. It's pretty much the opposite of this group, once again, in all ways, which is why I think it's so hard for you to fit in. And then over here we have self-employment, limited, timid, drudgery. Yeah, so I think this just keeps making me think more about exactly what I've already been saying. Angst, unaware, expectations, and blocked, disconnected. Yeah, okay. So it's pretty much saying a lot more about what we already know, but we'll just keep repeating it because maybe you really need to hear this. So spirit relationship, it already says right on this card that there's a block in their spiritual relationships. So you get that, a block. So I would see these people, they probably don't have a very open crown chakra. If anything, they might have shut it down. You know what? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't see this. If I were to describe this, these people are living only in their base chakras. They are not living in their upper chakras. I mean, to be balanced, you want to live in all of them, right? But I think the problem is they're really just living in the very base chakras, which is almost creating them to be in a constant state of scarcity. And like I said, they're constantly battling, I think, with their inner child stuff, which kind of keeps them feeling like they need to keep being like a shapeshifter or to manipulate to get what they want, because it's almost like they have that scarcity mindset that they won't get it unless they manipulate or threaten to get it. And then the expectation thing. Yeah, there's just something weird there about someone believing that they should get whatever they want, or I don't know where that one comes from, but that's pretty strong coming through here. Yeah, drudgery. And then this self-employment card, this just, to me, it validates feeling like you can't trust anyone. You're in it on yourself. You got to figure it out yourself, and everyone else is competition. That's what it is. And also there's like drudgery and limited and timid. I keep thinking this just goes perfectly with that. People who don't even love their jobs, like, you know, they talk about getting drunk after work. They talk about, you know, like, they don't even like it. They resent it. They don't want to be there when they're working. They hardly want to work. They kind of do everything else to avoid actually working. Yeah, it's not a nice energy. Anyways, I think you got a pretty good, clear picture about what is going on there. Let's pull some advice and encouragement cards for you about this whole thing. Okay, but I'll just pull these out of the way as well. Well, yeah, I'll just put them away. Okay, so we're going to pull some cards from the Angel Therapy deck and the Star Seeds Oracle, I think it is. Indigo Angels, sorry. Indigo Angels cards. Guidance and encouragement for pile one on this whole situation. Okay. Third eye, okay, and funny enough, this is the card that fell through, which is so funny. I was like, it better say a shield yourself card. There better be at least one. There's one in each deck, so. Okay, encouragement, advice, we got that, and let's do 4, why not? 4 is kind of the number I'm digging right now for today. Okay, so for you, we have Okay, it's interesting. It's talking about some of your chakras here. That usually tells me that there can be an imbalance with them right now that's going on. So, sacral chakra is all about joy and laughter and enjoying what you do. So, it makes sense if that one's feeling a little blocked. Third eye, it says it's safe for you to see the energy of love in all its forms, such as angels, auras, and visions. Yeah, it's so interesting. Okay, so there's some reflection, definitely, that I feel like you're being called to think about. So, my first thought is, and I mean, I'm even just wondering this too, is like your guides are calling you to reflect on, and they're saying it's in your roots. So it's in how you were raised, it's in how you were taught to believe in your own value when you were younger. But why are you still in this job, if this is a job that treats you this way? And they're not saying there's a right or wrong answer. They really are just asking you to ask yourself why. And maybe you have already asked yourself that, but I feel like if you can see the connection between maybe things you have, I want to say, stuck it out through in the past or in your past history, that that might be similar to how you're being treated now. There could be a connection there for this pile. And I really, the allow love card, this is what's really telling me that, like, this job is really, really taxing on you. I mean, it goes against everything. Like, if we just looked at yourself and them, like the industry that you're in, I shouldn't say industry, specifically the company you're working for, you can see how someone who's the opposite in values and morals would be drained by so many others who are the opposite spectrum. It would be exhausting. So, advice we have is shield yourself. Make sure you're shielding yourself if you're even just responding to an email or a text from someone you work with, when you're there, and cord cutting. And I would suggest doing the more, I would say, healing form of cord cutting. So don't just put yourself in a bubble and cut all the cords, because I find it's easy for them to come back. What you want to do is be doing ho'oponopono to all those cords. So you can picture yourself in a pillar of white light, and you can just picture that all those people at work that you're connecting to. So don't worry if you can't picture all their faces. You just trust that when you say all the people at work, you're going to say this on behalf of that relationship, and you just say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, God bless you, I love you. And I would also add in, I release you now, if I were you in this pile. That's what I would do. And the theory behind that is when you're cord cutting in that way, you're not just being like, get off me, bye. You're kind of more going like, hey, I see you, I love the goodness I see in you. I love that you were a part of my lesson. Thank you for teaching me this. Thank you for coming into my life. I'm sorry. And to me, I can always see that as like, I'm sorry for whoever hurt you. I'm sorry for the fact that whatever thing happened to you made you this way. I'm sorry. And then please forgive me, because I hate to say it, but in all relationships where someone they think you've done something despite them, even though you didn't do anything spiteful towards them, it really, I find, speaks to that person's hurt inner child or ego. And it can be healing for both of you. It's not just for them, it's also for you. Like, maybe you also need to hear, I'm sorry, and please forgive me, I love you, God bless you. And when I just say God bless you, as just being I just wish you the best. and that's just like the clearest way I could think of it. And then I release you is super important, I find, in these types of connections, because if someone has anger or bitterness against you, I just feel like the Ho'oponopono helps kind of give an energy healing to that, and then just kind of helps release some of that anger or that resentment they might have had towards you, or vice versa that maybe you have towards them. So anyways, I would think that could be helpful for this pile. Other than, of course, shielding yourself will be really important too, keeping a clear mind. And then it's even saying to watch how you're eating, because if you're already feeling so stressed out or so low and like gross around these types of people, around your coworkers when you're at work, to eat in a way that makes your body have to work even harder just isn't serving you. So I almost even think if you can like stress eat at work or stress binge coffee or something, it's saying just be aware of that and know that you're not really supporting yourself in the best way. Yeah, but a big thing I have to keep just bringing up as a reflection is it's saying maybe explore why you are choosing to stay at this job. And I mean, if you just go to the next job and you don't really go deeper and see why have you allowed someone to treat you this way, I think you could come into another job where people will treat you the same way. But I think if you can get to the root of the problem, because everything here is talking about that, like just really exploring what is going on deeper, what happened, and they're very clear that this is like a pattern from the way you were brought up, that it will be clear. And I think it almost will become a red flag you'll see in other things. Like if you go to a job interview, I think you'll just see that as a red flag in the words they use. So it's very much a learning experience. But yeah, just a huge focus for you on your own self-care and really putting yourself first. That's a pretty big message here. I mean, with these three cards, time to create, allow, love, self-care. They're all talking about diving deep into just why has this come into your life? Why are you still there? And then once you get that answer, really taking the steps you need to really take care of yourself. But I see right now your job is like, yeah, it's not making you joyful. It stresses you out, makes you feel gross. I think you might even have put on some extra weight, or you're just not eating true to who you are, or treating yourself the way you feel like you probably could. And then the third eye, I just see this as blocking your hope for the future. Like it blocks your excitement for the future. Yeah. So anyways, I'm going to leave you with that. And it's like all card readings here, it's always just up to you to take what resonates and leave the rest and choose what you want to do with whatever comes through. Leave the rest on YouTube. Yeah, I feel like your guides will just have some reflective questions for you. Okay, all right. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope this helped bring you some clarity, and maybe I'll catch you around sometime in the future. All right, everyone, this is just a little sound healing or sound bath at the end to help ground you, help you ground in the information you just received. So if you'd like to receive this, just close your eyes and stay tuned. It's only going to be about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, hello pile 2. You all chose the Delphi. I received divine messages constantly and clearly. So let's look at your archetype cards. We have Goddess and Femme Fatale. Ooh, I feel like this is going to be a very interesting card pile already. Okay, and then for your values, we have Sensitivity and Strength. Goddess of Dreams. Oh my gosh, how many times can Goddess come up? I didn't even know there's this many cards. Okay. Talent Guides and Mindfulness. Okay, just give me a minute here to just tune in and get into your energy. Okay, pile 2, so I'm getting pretty strong confidence and pretty strong vibe around feeling self-empowered. And I mean, I don't want to limit this pile to being mainly female, but if you've chosen this, there's a high probability that you are physically female, or proud of being a female. Or know what, you don't even need to be necessarily born a female. It's like whoever you are just strong and confident in being in a proud female form. That's what I keep saying. So hopefully that makes sense to you. And I can see how you wouldn't fit in with all groups with this type of energy. It's not a cockiness. I want to be very clear about that. Your energy feels just confident. Yeah, like it's almost... I guess Goddess is a great way of seeing it. It's almost like, it's like saying you have like this understanding, I believe, of sexual energy and how it really just is energy. And it almost feels like you've taken some time. Maybe it's even like your parents were pretty open sexually or something, or pretty open to not limiting you or something like that. Because I feel like... I don't know, like one of your core values, I think, is learning and having mentors and teachers. You might someday also be a mentor and a teacher, but I think it's a part of who you are to really enjoy growth and learning further. But there's so much here about talking about divine messages, intuition, vision, quieting your mind. I think you just really are someone who is more on a spiritual path. Like, there can be all types of different people on a spiritual path, but I just see you as really enjoying maybe like meditation, maybe enjoying, I keep wanting to say tantric, a tantric meditation or connection with others. I think that's just what you actually like to do. I think maybe in your free time, you might even prioritize like having that kind of energy connection with your friends for fun. Maybe you read cards with them. I don't know. I feel like it feels deeper than that though. I keep saying having a harder time finding the right words for this pile. Yeah, there's so much here though about receiving divine messages and intuition. So I feel like this is such a key attribute to who you are. And with the Goddess here, it says the feminine expressed through wisdom, nature, life force, and sensuality. It's really the life force that stands out for me. Like I feel like there's just this deep understanding of how to use your energy in a good way, in an empowering way, in a way that serves you and is not limited. That's like a good word to use. I feel like you're just not limited by social norms, by guilt or shame. And I feel like I was saying before, I think a lot of this comes from, you must have had some really good parents or role models in some way around this, because I feel like your knowledge around this or your comfortability around this is unique for your era or for your time. And I even think that's where it's saying like your values and strengths, and literally says sensitivity and strength, tapping the forces within. So there's just so much here about I just think everything that you enjoy really is being connected with yourself, knowing yourself. I almost want to say you seem very like you would closest analogy I could have would be similar to a Buddhist monk's values, but then I don't think the sexual shame I just don't think is there though. I don't think you maybe hold back your sexual energy like a monk would. I think you're just very open in all regards, and it's actually really neat to see, because I almost feel like the energy that you hold and your values and who you are hold is sort of the way of the future, the energy we're moving into as a future, but it's going to take us some time. We have a lot of shame as a culture to work through. So like I was saying, I'd be curious to see how that would be for you trying to fit into other groups, because really what I'm seeing here is a pretty rare type of person, and a person that other people wouldn't quite know how to handle. So I'm going to kind of go through this part a little bit faster and jump into the group you're struggling with, or that you don't feel you fit in with. We're going to see what is their more archetypical traits. Okay. I actually think I want to pull more than that. Choo. Okay. There we go. And let's pull some values for them too. What is the values of Piles 2's group that doesn't go along with them? Okay. This might be a little hard to show everyone's cards, but I think I want them as the comparison for you guys. Okay, so we kind of have the archetypes. Ooh, we have bully. That's interesting. Mentor. Beggar, Samaritan. So it says highlights your tendency to intimidate others, helps you confront the fears that bully you, passing on wisdom, refines your capacity to help those you would prefer to ignore, confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. Okay, and then for values, we have open your heart to love, spiritual adventure, and don't compromise. And we have your desires are within reach. Okay, so those aren't as clear to me about what is going on, but we will see. So why aren't you fitting in with this group? You have a very empowered self, someone who likes to go within for the answers, someone who likes being connected to spirit, I would say, and someone who loves learning, learning more about themselves, is empowered in their sensitivities, I think dreams very clearly, very intuitive. And then over here we have the group that you're not fitting in with, or the person you're not fitting in with. And I think actually for this pile, who you are inquiring about is a person. And I already think it's going to be one of your teachers, because here we go. We have here, you love learning, you love mentorship, and then over here I see mentor, and I see bully, and then the shadow attributes of the mentor is not always feeling competent enough in themselves to allow the student to essentially surpass them or surpass their teachings. So it's almost like some teachers aren't great at, or mentors aren't great at, letting the student grow past them or outgrow them. So they'll almost disempower the student. They might not give the full teaching. They might belittle them. And I kind of can see that happening maybe with this bully card, where it says conceals deep fears behind verbal or physical abuse. And I mean, I can't help but think for this pile, that it could just be like all tongue-tied. When I think of a good teacher, I think they should just already know that if someone, especially someone who is younger generation, they're already coming in wired a bit different. They're coming in to surpass and to replace the older way, is sort of how I see it. It doesn't make the older way not useful. No, because their wisdom is so key in helping the new ones come in and use that old way and that old understanding and bring in with their new way and combine it in a new thing that the world will now be able to use and slowly will shift. So I almost see it when a mentor or a teacher isn't okay with the student maybe achieving more than them or outgrowing them. To me, it's almost like that mentor was never really ready to be a mentor or a teacher in some ways. Well, they're really good at teaching what not to do. But to me, I would rather do things and not learn things the hard way like that, like teach people the hard lesson. So I'm not sure. I guess you'll have to know if this is resonating with you, pile 2. But that is the impression that I have, is that you almost have a teacher who just, the fear here that's coming through for them is being sort of left behind, like you outgrowing them. And it's not even specifically you. I think it's just their students in general. Yeah. It's like that's just a hard thing for them. They don't see that that's just the natural order. It's almost to me like the natural order of getting older. Like as you get older, you will age. There will be wrinkles. There will be some things that change about your body, and that's okay. That's just the natural flow and balance of life. When people fight that so hard, it almost starts to feel like they're, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as good. And I almost feel like that's what this mentor's struggling with. It's just this natural order. So over here, Samaritan says exacting appreciation and recognition for the help you offer and dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. Okay, so kind of once again, this really makes me think the dominant thing is this might be a teacher for you is just what it was saying here is they need a lot of validation reassurance, and that really feeds their ego, which is kind of feeding this fear of like, from what I can see, is this fear of being replaced or of a student coming in and knowing more or learning more or having a way that works better. And it's so interesting because I think this is going to be spiritual. Just because you are so spiritual in your energy that I would think this would be a spiritual practice. And it just comes back to that unfortunate thing where we can hope anyone who practices in light and love has done some work, but they're just humans like everyone else, and they all have fears too to work through and such. So yeah, the other thing here too is saying like it's like not doing as much work as they should. So that comes back to me wondering if they're just not giving you all the tools that maybe you would have expected or thought they would give you. And it's almost like putting you in a place of having to go back to them to fix something or to fully know how to do something. But I feel like there's always this gap where they're not quite giving you all the tools on how to do it yourself, which is frustrating. So once again, this feels very much like a them problem. It could seem to you like it's a you thing, but I really just see this as their own fear, and it's kind of, they set up a system, which if no one really sees through it, it seems like they're a great all-knowing teacher because that's the illusion they've created, because no one can ever surpass them. No one ever has all the information or wisdom that they do. They don't fully pass it on. They kind of leave gaps in the holes or something. And there could be a lot of rules too about how things are done, just to make it more limiting on how you can, like, say, be allowed to practice this or learn this from them or graduate from them. And I almost feel like it's an unconscious way that their fear has created a system for it's harder for others to once again compete with them. And once again, I don't think you're competing, but that's just like their fear, their perception. So here we have morals and values. It says resentment, stubbornness, independence, routine, limitations, boredom, passive, intimidated, fearful, disbelief, stubbornness, apathy, anxiety. So it's interesting. So both these, there's 2 cards talking about fear and 2 talking about limiting others. And this is the thing. They're coming from a fearful place. So this is like, unfortunately, the values that their fear is kind of putting forward. So I feel like, once again, I have to keep reiterating this. This all feels very unconscious. This person isn't consciously realizing exactly what they're doing. I'm sure consciously they've reasoned a lot of things about why they've made things so strict or hard to achieve, because in their mind they're like, oh, I just want people to be the best workers they can be and all this stuff. But really, I think there's like this fear coming through. Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. Fear for sure. I mean, it's come up so many times. There's so many words here saying fear. And it says spiritual adventure, which is so funny, and open your heart to love. But I keep seeing all these cards in burst, and don't compromise. And I really see that as they are compromising. Yeah, your desires are within reach. Yeah, so it's tricky. I almost feel like, even when I see this card, I feel like they're kind of like locking the door on like how much information they're going to give out, and how much. But it's funny, once again, I can see their perspective is almost saying like, well, I don't want to give more than what people can handle or what people are ready for, or and there's all this justification, and there's all this, like, I can hear like logic on why they're doing everything they're doing in the way that they're doing it, but it doesn't feel like it's, yeah, it feels like it's coming from fear, and it feels like that's coming from their fear of being surpassed or replaced, or needing to limit others so that they don't, I don't know, they don't just disappear. It's super interesting, this fear this person has. So I can't help but see how your energy is. You seem naturally very gifted at the spiritual, in the spiritual realm, however you want to word that. Like, I think you just naturally have come in with a little more of a deeper understanding and peacefulness just around everything, and then this energy just so doesn't cooperate, because this almost feels like an immature energy of fear around scarcity, like I was saying before. And it's almost like, I feel like your energy knows that there's an abundance of things, so why be so scared to hang on to every student you have when there's so many out there? So here, I want to read this also. It says, I receive divine messages constantly and clearly. I look for the truth in any situation. I know myself. Power comes from the inside out. Yeah, that's what this person's lacking. It's almost like they don't know themselves, and they don't know that power comes within them, not from without them. I almost feel like they're coming from a place that they need to take power from others to be powerful, to be appreciated, to be in this place of authority. So yeah, I'm not too sure what the future will look like for this mentor or teacher of yours, but just with times changing, I don't think people will keep being drawn to a person like this. It's funny how their fear is that they'll get left behind, but almost by being stuck in their fear and acting on their fear, that is actually what's going to leave them behind. Okay, sorry, pile 2. My camera died, and I'm not super sure when I did that. So I had just pulled 4 cards about guidance for you that my cat is now sitting on. So I had Sun, which said your son is watched over and protected as he explores his world. So maybe this is something you just need to hear if you have a child, but yeah, I'm not super sure. I'm not getting a lot from this card, except for the fact that I'm so focused on the frog. And apparently, according to Google, frogs are a representation of transformation and abundance. So yeah, not sure if that means anything to you all, but the other ones that I really wanted to talk about, and I was talking about a little bit, but I think my camera probably cut it off. Sorry. Sudden got things stuck in my throat. So Affirmations. To lift up your thoughts and energy and to attract what you desire, use positive affirmations. And I actually just saw this as when you first wake up and say if you're about to go to work or if you're about to go see this, wherever you find this person, listen to some empowering affirmations. And I almost felt like that would just refocus and recenter your thoughts in your mind about what you want to be, who you want to be. And I think that's really important to use, to always be the most authentic version of yourself you can be. And then underneath my cat here, there was 2 cards that I was saying earlier. Both in them, the imagery just really makes me think of don't dull your light, don't be any less yourself, don't let anyone disempower you. You're just so beautiful and you're so bright. Don't let the bullying words of someone who's scared take away from who you are in any way. Okay, here we go. Here we go. It said assertiveness. Stand up for your beliefs and only say yes if you really want to. And this is just where I feel like this is such a good symbol of who you are. Don't hold yourself back. Don't cover yourself up. Don't hide behind a wall. Just be you. And yeah, I also just even felt like if this mentor or teacher isn't for you anymore, then it's okay to leave them behind or to stop seeing them, because it just doesn't feel good from what I can see. It doesn't feel great for you. And autumn, in the fall season, everything comes together and you reap wonderful harvest of abundance. So I really just see it as this is just, I don't think this person will be in your life forever. And I think you'll find someone who's maybe a little more fitted for you, or you'll find other people who are a little more in sync with you, and you won't have to hide or make yourself less bright because maybe they have some fears about it, or feel competitive with you, or feel like they have to compete with you, or whatever this weird energy is that their fear is coming from. Which I really want to say that because I want you to be hopeful and know that there are other people out there, and then this is just a lesson that will not have to stay forever. You will not have to experience forever, because like, look at this same, I feel like it's like the same kind of fairy, super bright, but it's in the open and someone's seeing them and they're not intimidated. They're almost able to hold space for that person, and I think that's what's going to come in for you. Yeah, trying to see if there's anything else I should say for this pile. I don't think I actually read. The Femme Fatale says highlights the erotic energy of the feminine, opens your hearts when your dependency is rejected. So I see this as someone who's strong in who they are, not afraid, not ashamed, really quite beautiful, really. Okay. I think this might be all that I have for this pile. I hope whatever you came here for, maybe you found. I hope ultimately you realize that this isn't anything personal. I think this mentor or teacher, like I said, it really feels like they're coming from a place of fear. And it's not specifically you, it's more of the fear of them losing importance, I think would be another way to say what I've been trying to say. Losing their, like it's almost like they need to be needed or something like that. And so I think they've done this probably to many people before. Unfortunately, it doesn't feel like a new energy. It doesn't feel specifically directed at you from what I can see. I think it's directed at anyone who is similar to you, who is gifted, and who naturally has come in with an ease to understanding stuff, an ease to catching on right away. And I almost feel like that's when this person starts to put limits on, starts to make you doubt yourself. So like I said, I think the affirmations might even be good in recentering yourself, but also reminding you who you are and what you're capable of. Okay, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and maybe I'll catch you around. Thanks. All right, everyone, this is just a little sound healing or sound bath at the end to help ground you, help you ground in the information you just received. So if you'd like to receive this, just close your eyes and stay tuned. It's only going to be about 2 or 3 minutes. Hello, pile 3! You chose the card I can't really pronounce, the Ajanta Caves. Enlightenment is a journey. I show compassion to myself and all living things. I really like that. Okay, so let's look at your archetype that you're in, or that you're in right now. Oh, that's kind of neat. These two cards match the colors here and there. So it says Fool, which matches up there, and Artist, which kind of matches the color down here. And then we have your morals, and values, family tree, attachment, past life guides. That's so funny. Past life has come up a couple times for this pile. All my past lives have brought me to this perfect moment. And then we have karmic lessons, presence, assistance, and then we have your eternal spirit. Okay, I was just taking a minute to tune into what was going on here. So I keep thinking that if you have chosen this pile and you have felt called to look at to look into past lives, especially with the challenges of not fitting in. I would maybe find someone to do a past life reading for you. So maybe you can just find one on YouTube, but if you've been thinking about finding someone to do a private, personalized one, then I would do that, because I think there's a lot of confirmations coming up here about how there could be something repeating itself in this lifetime as it has in other lifetimes, about being an outsider, about not fitting in. And you might even be in a, like it says, karmic lessons, karmic relationships. There might be an individual in the people that you're not getting along with that there is a karmic past life with. Yeah, I think it would be worth looking into if you could afford that, or if that's something you've already been thinking about. Yeah, because even with the attachment card, longing and desperation, like something's just telling me there's something not quite finished here. Sorry, I got something stuck in my throat in the end of the last card reading, and it just is staying stuck there. But even the fact that it says, so like your values is family, expansion, and what am I trying to say? I think your connection with your own intuition and your own self is pretty strong. I would even think that because you value this and this is a strong thing for you, that if you were having a suspicion that there was something to look into in past lives, I would follow that. And then the Fool card, what really struck me about this is I feel like you all are just on the start of your spiritual journey. Maybe not the very beginning, but you're really starting to really step into it. Because I almost see like all this stuff here is talking about really putting it first, but still being in the beginning stages. Like there's still a lot you gotta learn, but you're really excited about it. Sorry, this is driving me crazy, whatever's in my throat. And then the other thing here is I feel like part of your joy is in sharing with others what you're starting to learn. So I can't help but wonder if this pal is like a parent, or you have a lot of friends that maybe they're less mature than you, so you're kind of seen as the older one. They can just almost see like everything that you're learning, you're like eager to share with either your child or with your friends who might not quite be interested in this, but you're just like sharing and talking about it with them. There's definitely something going on there with, like it says, expressing a dimension of life that is just beyond the five senses. And I feel like it's almost like you being a bit of a bridge. You want to like teach others in using words that won't sound so weird and out there to them about what you're learning. Yeah, so it is interesting. I'm not getting a lot about your values, but I think it's just important to mention the past life thing for you. And in that past life, it might, I feel like the connection will be unresolved, an unresolved healing that needs to happen. That's what I just keep getting about this. I almost wonder if you have like a slightly abusive person in your life and that's who you're wondering about. Why don't you click? Why don't you get along well? And I think this would be why, this attachment, this karmic thing going on. So anyways, I feel like that's kind of more for a private card reading thing, so I'm going to move on to the rest of this general card reading. So for the archetype, I have about the person or people you're requiring about that you just aren't vibing with, you aren't fitting in with. They have a very similar energy to the same type of person that pile 1 wasn't getting along with, except there's a bit of a difference in this energy. So I don't know if you're watching both piles or not, but this person is slightly different. This person is in a strong victim mentality. So it's almost like, I don't really like saying this, but like if people were to say the woke people, I think this would be a person they're referring to. Someone who kind of uses some spiritual words, some self-development, some accountable words, but they're not really doing any of the work. So they like know some of the right language, but at the end of the day, they're just shaming people and calling people out, and they're not like doing any of the work themselves, if that makes sense. So Here it says for King, excessive feelings of entitlement, rulership without restraint. And this really kind of just goes to like that person who kind of feels like everyone owes them something, like they have a right to something. Like if, say for example, if you worked really hard and got a bonus at work and you got extra money for how hard you worked, this person would feel like they were due some of it or owed some of it because they also worked hard. But in reality, they probably played on their phone half the time, were late for work most of the time, had a horrible attitude during the whole work week. But they don't see any of that. They just feel like if you get it, I also get it. I also deserve it, without really putting the effort in. So that's kind of the strong energy I'm getting from this person. The martyr is, addiction to self-pity is what it says on this card, but I see it as like kind of just sees himself as being victimized by everything that doesn't work out in the way that they were hoping to. To put it nicely. And then here it says escapism and a false sense of heroism, which also goes really good with that energy of like they feel like they're doing the world a big favor. They feel like they're always doing so much to help others, but I don't actually think they are. I think in their perspective, they're like, well, I didn't have to keep that door open, but I did. And yet it's like, oh, well, that's actually just a nice thing to do. So I don't really feel like you should get rewarded for it, but I think they feel like they should. Here it says athlete, misuse of athletic ability for selfish ends, false sense of invulnerability and entitlement. So this is also where I kind of got that woke feeling where I feel like they're using the right lingo, so it seems like they should be like doing maybe some personal work or some self-development work, but then I don't think they are. I think they just are kind of using it to manipulate the situation and not so much being accountable for anything. So it just kind of feels gross. Kind of just overall feels gross. The energy that they're in with you. So what I had for sort of their values, I pulled these cards. So I was looking sort of at the bottom of what they had to say. So here it says power, connection, truth. This one also says powers. It's funny because when I actually read animal energy and powers for this person, I see it more as similar to pile one. This person's very much in their root chakra, their base chakras, and they're not really in the heart energy. So it's more that scarcity, survival sort of thing. So I don't know. I even think of like, when I think of animal energy and it says powers twice, I feel like it feels like they feel a need to be empowered, to be on top, to be like the leader. And I also feel like there could be like some weird energies, like an they put too much focus on sexual energy and sexual gratification. They could put too much focus on, like it's like the very like the lowest version of our physical needs. That's kind of what I feel like these people put big priority on. And obviously power, because it's come up twice, being in power, having power. And then interesting enough, it says spiritual mentors and teachers. But I almost wonder if that, to me, moving on and letting go, that's so funny. I can't help but wonder if this pile likes the idea of being in an authoritative position, if they like the idea of being a teacher or a mentor, but they don't see in their own blind spot, I think, about how unfit they are in some ways to be that. So I almost wonder if maybe they give lots of advice. Yeah, I think they could actually. I was just like thinking it through. And then this whole freedom, moving on and letting go, I think they want that. I think this is what's so confusing with this person is they really do want that, but looking at how they're operating out of like victim mentality, about being like the problem with the victim mentality is that you put yourself under, like you kind of put yourself there. I don't know how to say that nicer. You kind of like, I don't know, put yourself in a position where you're having to fight against something. You have to overcome something. Like you kind of put yourself into a storyline that involves lots of struggle and lots of failure. And that's what's really tricky about that is like, even if their core value is moving on and gaining freedom, it's really hard to deal with the way they're operating. So that would be really hard. And I can actually even see how this person probably goes in a cycle a little bit of being like, oh yeah, I'm going to start doing this and my life is going to get better and things are going to be good. And then the problem is that the main stuff here hasn't changed. So then they start to feel like they failed, they got disempowered, something happens, and then they're still stuck where they are. I don't know. It seems really gross and confusing. So anyways, I definitely think there's something to look at here for this past life thing. I can't help but wonder if you're inquiring about someone you're dating or married to, or someone you date on and off, like a yo-yo relationship that you're inquiring about. So I really think maybe it might be worth looking into past lives. Maybe you already have. But it just feels like almost like a kind of a yucky attachment between you two. Like it almost seems like something about them, I think it's karmic, or it's drawing you to each other, but I don't think either one is being served by a relationship together. But I really don't think you're being served by a relationship with this person, because I can see that you're trying to change and learn more and become more accountable, but this person's sort of that woke person, like I was saying. They might want it, but right now it doesn't seem like they actually are changing on the inside. What they might want might change, but they're not taking the steps to do that change, if that makes sense. So why don't we pull some cards on guidance for you around this dynamic? Okay. Leave a stressful situation behind. Have faith, improve health, Jesus the divine healer. Dear Jesus, thank you for your divine healing power and presence. So interesting. I feel like there's a few cards I keep getting for this pile that throw me off a little bit. This one honestly is a little bit clearer. Don't hang on to a situation that's stressful or not serving you. And literally in the image, you see like a girl hanging onto the hand of a guy, and it looks like it's causing her so much discomfort, but the guy just keeps going in his direction, but the girl does not want to let go, even though it's making her contort herself and do all sorts of weird movements. And I think that could be symbolic of what maybe this pile is doing. If this is a relationship, you're trying to change and bend and do all these things, but I think the other person is just staying the same and not really changing course. And the other thing too, so these, Jesus is divine healer, then over here has faith and know that like Jesus can bring you a miracle. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know if this pile really resonates with Jesus and working with Jesus. He is an ascended master, just like many others. So yeah, I mean, he's just as real in the spiritual community as he is in any other community. So it is interesting that that came through twice. And I almost wonder if it's talking about, like, it's weird. I'm seeing those two Jesus cards, but I keep thinking about having more confidence and trust in yourself for both of them. And it just seems like it's talking so much about knowing your value and knowing, what should I say? Knowing how to choose with your heart is almost what I'm seeing. Choosing with your heart energy and not your mind or your lower mind, but really connecting in with your heart. So you would be feeling here, putting your hand there and asking what to do about a situation. Yeah, I don't know. That seems important for this pile. Maybe we'll get more clarity there. And it also makes me think about this card here, your internal spirit. And maybe how sometimes with this relationship, if this is a relationship, you can get pulled into it by thinking too much with your mind about what you should do. And I also get that feeling of like a really like addictive relationship. When I see this karmic lessons and longing, it seems like like it almost feels like a drug addiction, right? In the sense that I think there can be really highs and really lows involved in this relationship. Sometimes you feel like you really need them, and sometimes you don't want anything to do with them. And then at the end of the day, though, it's like you need to go get another fix. That's what I mean by like addictiveness, like a need. You need it. You need it. It feels kind of gross. It feels very low, but that's why I'm pretty sure there's something karmic going on there. And then improving your health. There's something going on there, and I think it's going to have something to do with your food and what you're eating. Maybe you have an allergy to something and you're not aware of it. Yeah, but I mean, it says improving health, so I actually think something's going better there. And I almost even wonder if there's a message about if you physically feel better and stronger, you might be able to handle this situation better. Whichever way you're choosing to handle it. I'm trying not to put too much of my own opinion in it, but yeah, I feel like starting to feel like there's a strong vibe that this could be someone's inquiring about, that they're on an off date. So I even wonder, yeah, if you start, say, drinking a lot or eating a lot of foods that feel gross to you, if that's when you start to, like, I guess I should say this, when your self-care starts to go downhill, if that's when this person comes back in. Yeah, I don't know. There's something there. But anyways, maybe just seeing what's going on with them and what's going on with you, maybe this will bring you some clarity or some more information, and I'll just leave it with you to decide what to do with that. And always know you can take or leave whatever you want. This is just YouTube. Hope you all have a good one, and maybe. Alright everyone, this is just a little sound healing or sound bath at the end to help you ground in the information you just received. So if you'd like to receive this, just close your eyes and stay tuned. It's only going to be about 2 or 3 minutes.